Hi, this is James from Mad Science Films, and today we're again looking at the Lumix GH2. So back in 2018, we looked at the GH2 and we asked how relevant that camera was. Now, the camera, it lacks a lot of modern features and capabilities. And this has got me kind of thinking not just about the GH2, but more broadly about cameras and specifically, what is a professional camera? So what is a professional camera in regards to filmmaking? Is it something with log profiles, something that can shoot RAW, something with built-in ND filters, something with advanced exposure tools? Now, these features are very important to cinematographers and videographers out there who are dealing with big budgets and paying clients. These are very powerful tools to help you get the best image possible and also sometimes act as a bit of a fail-safe. But let's focus on why this channel exists. And this channel exists for new filmmakers out there and low-budget filmmakers. Our background is low budget and we've acquired a lot of experience over the years from doing this. So what we all have in common is we're all seeking to create the best image. And not always, in fact, it's very rare that the camera plays the most important part of getting that image looking cinematic. Back in 2012, Zukuto, a film accessory company, they did a project, quite a successful project by the name of the Great Camera Shootout. They revisited this project with Return of the Great Camera Shootout back in 2012. Now, they would compare 9 different cameras, ranging from the iPhone 4S, the Lumix GH2, the Canon 7D, Canon C300, and the Sony FS100. Each camera was used by a different DP, always shoot the same scene. And then afterwards, each scene would be assigned a letter, and in a blind test kind of scenario, these 9 scenes were showed to an audience of consumers and industry professionals and some Hollywood elites like Francis Ford Coppola. Now, you'll be pleased to know that Francis Ford Coppola preferred the look of the GH2, as we all do. I dare say if you're watching this, you're a big GH2 fan. He preferred the look of the GH2. But what was quite impressive and quite amazing was the actual lack of difference between the images. You'd have to be really on top of your game to notice certain things like highlight roll off and depth of field. Obviously, things like the iPhone 4S would struggle with that. So a lot went into this project, and I think it was quite revealing in terms of cameras and image quality and what is effectively a cinematic image quality. So going back to the initial question of what makes a camera professional, well, I think we'd have to say it's the person operating it. You create the image with your skills and understanding of cinematography and videography, and not the camera. Let's now look at the GH2, this 10-year-old HD-only camera. Can it be used for filmmaking? Yeah, I think it can be used for filmmaking. And not only do I think it can be used for filmmaking, I think if you're an upcoming or somebody who wants to learn his craft a bit more in regards to cinematography and videography, I think you should use a camera such as the GH2. Now, the reasons why are things like, it doesn't have 4K. And what do I mean by that? Well, okay, many people will go, well, it doesn't have 4K, so I'm limited. Yeah, you're limited. You're not spoilt. Now, 1080p is still quite relevant today. I mean, you can get your film on Amazon Prime in HD with no problems, no issues. A lot of screenings in regards to festivals and any kind of film nights or independent film nights or whatever, they screen the videos in HD. Blu-ray is only HD. HD is still relevant. The web, YouTube, or whatever. There's not many people who are demanding you have a final project in 4K, and I think that is very rare as a filmmaker. You're going to be feeling the need to finalize your films in 4K, you know, in 2020 and going forward. You know, we often shoot in 4K for some client corporate stuff, just in case we want to punch in. So, you know, that is, at the moment, 4K is kind of like a tool rather than a resolution which we need in terms of finalizing a project. So by using only HD, you're kind of forcing yourself to think more about composition and framing. And I think that can only help if you're learning the craft, learning and understanding what it is to frame and compose a shot, you know, sticking to your storyboards and your shot lists and making sure, you know, you're not giving yourself too much to do in post. I mean, the more you can understand and nail your compositions in camera, then the better for you going forward. Also, the Lumix GH2, it doesn't have log profiles and it doesn't shoot in RAW. So getting it right in camera and not leaving it to post-production, again, that's all part of the learning curve. And I think understanding the style of the project and the script which you're getting involved in, speaking a lot with the director and his or her visual style for the film, gets you thinking about lighting and techniques in terms of lighting skills, you know, what kind of gels you're going to use. You know, so when you come to shooting the film, you know what you need in regards to lights and gels and colors, and then you're not doing it all in post-production or heavily reliant on post-production to get that style which you initially set out to achieve. And this also then, this ties in well with lighting. Lighting and exposure. You can't afford to wing your lighting with the GH2, and I think that can only help you if you're starting out and you're learning your craft. Lighting is a big and very important skill to learn and understand to get your footage looking, you know, cinema tasty. So practice, practice, practice your lighting. You know, we've been spoiled by all the latest technology, and we've also become lazy and reliant on these cool and fancy features. Getting it right in camera pushes us to think more about what we're doing on set, and thus working on our skills and understanding of what we need and want for a great image. I myself, I'm thinking of shooting a feature film on the Lumix GH2, because the GH2, it can produce a very beautiful image, and it will also be a great test for me as a cinematographer. I want to push myself and prove that my skills have progressed and my understanding of lighting and cinematic storytelling has also improved. And what better way to do that than using a camera that doesn't allow you to fuck up. I've also been looking at kitting out the GH2 in order for it to perform on a feature film set. Bought a external power option for the camera, you know, Mac box and follow focus system. Like I said earlier, HD is very relevant nowadays with a lot of platforms, social media, Amazon Prime, like I previously mentioned. You know, HD is still relevant. 4K right now is on par with being one of these features that acts as a tool to save your bacon in post-production, rather than being a desired finalized resolution. Now, of course, if you're dealing with big studios and big clients who want 4K, then yeah, fine, okay, I can see that happening. But most of us, what we're doing, and even independent film, you know, HD, we can get away with it for now. You know, it's not going to go up to 4K just yet. But if you had a videographer in particular who needs 4K right now, then there are some great options out there for you. Particularly loving the look of the Lumix G7, the G80 if you're in the UK, or G81 in Germany, or the G85 I think is in America. These all shoot 4K. So it's kind of like an upgraded version of the GH2, not quite as good as the GH4, kind of living in between. And these cameras, they're less than £500, so you know, you can get some good 4K cameras for less than 500 quid. And like I said, if you had a videographer who's finding their feet, but maybe they want to shoot 4K to get more client work, then they are great options for you. Now there is one unavoidable downside to the GH2, and that it's just not going to do good slow motion for you. It does do 50 frames per second or 60 frames per second on NTSC at 720, but you're not going to get any 1080, 60p or 50p, unfortunately. There's an option to hack the camera to get higher bit rates, which does help if you're looking to upscale the 720p footage to 1080. Also shooting with sharp lenses can also help with that upscaling too. But if you're planning to show the footage on big screens, it's not going to look that sexy, and perhaps avoid. But I've got some samples, sample footage of 720 upscaled, which I'll show you now. So that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it insightful. Let us know what you think of the Lumix GH2 and the general discussion about cameras and what is a professional film camera. Any comments, leave them down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.